Hello and welcome to the A&P. I am Alex Johansson and my co-host Patrick McCallum. Patrick,
Hello, everyone. How are you getting on?
we're having logical discussions about the state of the world. Let's get into it, brother. Hey, Patrick.
How are you getting on, buddy? So, what have we for me today?
Well, today we have Alexander Grace. We're talking about why men are no longer safe. There's a lot of things going on in society where there's been legislative advantage and a lot of cultural changes that have caused traditional roles to implode, right?
Right.
If you give a man a script, like here's how this runs, here's what the rules are, and here's how things should be going, when the rules get changed and men aren't adjusting to it because the goalposts move constantly and we can't know what the right answer is in any situation, so we have to have a uniform way to interact with people so that
Okay.
Well, it's a violation of social contract is what it is, functionally, right?
Right.
So he's going to get into that, and he's going to be talking about this nice lady here who had some issues with some fellas. We'll go ahead and cook a little.
Okay.
I'm here to say one more thing. I just had to drag my AC out of my car to my apartment building. 3 guys passed me. None of them offered to help. None. 0 out of 3. Why? Because you couldn't lift it? You were too scared to lift it? Is that why?
Well, that's a fallacious conclusion, right?
Wow.
Well, no, it's immediately fallacious on its face, right?
Yeah.
So for her to come to that conclusion it's just erroneous at best, right? Like
definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't pan out, right? That doesn't parse out.
No,
at all.
I think the problem with this young lady is, did she ask any of the 3 men that passed? So curiosity, no, doesn't look like it.
We'll let her cook a little. We'll see if she took the time to appropriately socially interact and say, "Excuse me, sir, I might require some assistance. This AC unit seems to be a bit heavy, and I would enjoy your assistance if you don't mind." Let's see if she did that.
Am I intimidating? Am I more masculine than you?
So then we go right to insults.
Wow. Yeah, she just went straight there. Wow.
Well, if this is the way that she's going to talk about it after the fact, maybe those 3 gentlemen were correct in ensuring that they did not bring upon her wrath, right?
Sometimes your gut instincts tells you to stay out of a situation as well.
Well, it feels like she felt as if she was entitled to the assistance and that somebody should just know, right? I don't know about you. I'm not psychic. I don't know.
No, nobody is. Nobody is psychic.
Maybe she's the strong woman at the circus and she don't need no help, and they perceived that she was doing a great job and just really didn't need to put their hand in the business, right? I guess.
Yes. Who knows? Could be 1,000 different reasons. These guys could be rushing to work. They could be have their own appointments. You don't know, as they say.
Well,
everybody has busy lives.
Well, if someone asks you or I pleasantly to assist, I'll help.
Yeah, you probably would.
Sure.
99.9% of the time you will.
Right. If you don't insult me in the process, I'll be like, sure.
Yeah.
Let's do a thing. Let's complete this task together. You and I, let's do the thing. Or I'll say, I don't have time, or I can't physically do the thing, or whatever it is, right? I will treat with you reasonably, right? So
exactly. But I think this young lady has a bee up her
bonnet.
Yeah. A bone to pick, as they say, Lango.
The bee in her bonnet, sir.
Yes, there we go. I was trying to find the words.
Yeah, we weren't going to say skirt.
I'm trying not to laugh at the same time.
Let's see what Mr. Grace has to say about this.
Okay, so she's mad that nobody stopped to help her, but she didn't ask for help. So let me get this straight. Men are under the obligation to help you, but you are not under the obligation to ask for help. Men are just meant to read your mind. Maybe you're so in your bubble that you haven't realized that in this culture, it is not safe for men to just walk up to women. Men aren't approaching women very much anymore.
Yeah, you're considered creepy and weird.
Yeah.
There's a really strange social stigma where you put yourself out there, you get immediately abused, and you keep getting your hand bit, you stop putting your hand out there, right?
Yeah. Once bitten, twice shy, isn't that what they say?
I've heard that expression before. You're good with the expressions there, Patrick. I like that.
Yeah, especially when I'm not laughing at the same time. But this young lady definitely, I think she is a symptom of a bigger issue. A lot of women want all the positive attention from men, but that's it. They just want all the help, but none of the follow through.
Right. It seems like a bit of a lack of accountability on her part as well. So,
oh, definitely.
And that seems a little bit more prevalent than I believe it should be. All right, let's let Mr. Grace finish his piece.
More even to help, because, you know, the message that women have been telling men for so long is leave women alone. Doesn't matter if you're a good Samaritan, if your intentions are pure. Many women treat basic interaction as though it's harassment.
How y'all doing tonight, guys?
Get the fuck away from me!
God bless y'all.
And you've got women who are confused about why men aren't approaching anymore. I mean, is
yeah, this scenario I think is a poor video choice, because obviously these two girls are coming out from a party, obviously after a few drinks. Taking a camera in anyone's face after a few drinks is not a good idea. Just saying at any time.
Well, it looked more like a preemptive strike. Like, you can say one thing to me, but if you say another, I'm going to get a little sassy with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you could see these girls walking down the road. You knew exactly what was going to happen if you stick a camera in their face.
Yeah, for sure. And they're walking with a purpose. They're like, don't mess with me, right? But honestly, honestly, that chick's a mid or less. You know what I'm saying? And he's just trying to be nice.
But hey, they're after a few drinks. They think they're superstars. You know.
They went from in their own mind a 9 to a 10, right? So.
Oh yeah, or 4 to 10.
Well, but the language is a little harsh too. Like, why don't you just say no, thanks? And no, right?
That's not the way it usually is. After a late at night after a few drinks.
Once we introduce refreshing adult beverages, it becomes a little more aggressive.
Spicy, the word we could use.
Spicy, aggressive. All right.
Yes.
Here we go.
Is really such a mystery. But if I showed this clip to that broken AC woman, she'd probably say, oh, well, I'm not like that. I wouldn't have responded that way. Well, let's see. You felt entitled to male help. When you didn't get it, you immediately jumped to insults. You accused men of being scared of you and said that you are more masculine than they are. You are.
So what happens when one man in conversation with another man says that in some fashion, I'm more masculine than you? Sometimes words turn to fisticuffs, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think she would ever suffer under that, right?
No.
So she's unaware that there's an underlying social contract between men that you just don't do that, right? You don't just
there's some lines you do not cross.
Right. So for her to feel comfortable to post a public video in a space where she is defaming 3 men whom she didn't contact, approach, or attempt to have a discussion with, she just assumed that they would step up, right? So it looks like I'm going to insult you until you do the thing I want. I don't know. The beatings will continue until morale improves. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I kind of felt, I think it's very, very disingenuous of her to, like, she's turning around and judging these 3 guys. But as I said before, these 3 guys could have other business to be doing besides helping her.
Oh, for sure.
And the fact that as he said, she didn't go up and ask them. They probably would have said yes, or they would have said, I'm sorry, I'd love to, but I'm going somewhere else, or 1,000 different answers. But she didn't even engage any of them or ask any of them.
Right.
Just
so
automatically to 0 to 90 in 2 seconds flat.
Well, she goes right to a violation of a social contract, like immediately defaming. That's not how that's done. If you didn't attempt to make contact, then it's on you. And for you to be unhappy
nobody can read minds.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, here we go.
Not an exception. You are exactly the kind of woman that men should be avoiding. And maybe there are some nice women who are not getting helped by male strangers, and that sucks for that individual. She doesn't deserve it, but I understand why men are just blanket checking out, because the rules and boundaries are shifting constantly. The expectations are not clear, and any moves that you make can be interpreted multiple ways.
Right, that's the shifting of the goalpost thing, where men don't know, and if there isn't a way to perform the task safely, they're not going to do it. Like, they just keep getting burned on this stuff.
Yeah. And it's a shame, really, because there are some decent guys out there who are genuinely trying to be gentlemen, but end up getting kicked down all the time, which is an awful shame as well.
It's not the best. Here we go.
A lot of guys are just confused. They don't know what to do anymore. They're asking, What world am I living in? To answer that, we need to first look at where we came from, because there was a time where your role as a man was not up for debate. You're a man, you had a duty to be a man. She's a woman, she has a duty to be a woman. The role for each gender was completely clear, and so were the expectations for your behavior. So back then, if a man saw you struggling with something heavy, he wouldn't pause, he wouldn't overthink it or doubt himself. He would just jump in and help her out of instinct. It would be
Right. It's the thing that you would do. But even with
Yes.
Alexander Grace, he's substituting the word gender for sex, right?
Mm.
And that's a watering down of the language as well. And that tends to be a bit of a problem, right? So I can see.
I understand why he's doing that too. He's also a big enough platform on YouTube. He doesn't want to start losing monetization either.
Oh, right. Yeah, that can be.
You always have to remember that as well. With a lot of people give out to YouTubers for not using certain words.
Right.
What they don't realize is he cannot use certain words because of terms of service and so
because
on.
the algorithm will like destroy him in a little.
And also, it can be the terms of service change every month in YouTube as well, which people don't realize when you're monetized.
Oh, yeah, that can be a tough road to hoe. All right.
Yeah, that's true.
Here we go.
automatic because he's a man. That's his role. Back in the day, men were expected to take on the physical risks of society, do the dangerous jobs, the manual labor, fight in the wars. In emergencies, it was always women and children first, no question. And despite the way that feminists paint it, there were a lot of benefits for women. Men had the pressure of initiating all romantic interactions. They paid for dates, they bought the ring, they planned everything. And there was chivalry, carrying her bag, opening her door. And in that arrangement, women were provided for.
So there's another thing going on here as well. So with the understood gender roles, there wasn't any question at all, right? Like there was no concern because it was the right thing to do, right? And generally speaking, men are on the side of let's do the right thing, right? And if they can't know what the right thing is, then you have unsteady ground. There's nowhere to plant your feet, right?
But there is, but also we also have to admit too, society does change over time, and that's just the way the world is. It just moves on. I know people. I see his son. He's showing a idealized 1960s image there of a man and a woman there, and it's a great ideal back then. But the world moves on. Society moves on. Both parents have to work now. Life and society just moves forward. I know we all love to go back to the 1960s, but that's not happening anytime.
Well, that's a money issue, actually. And we can go into that into another episode, but real quick. So in 1985, $30,000 is equivalent to what $250,000 is now. So that's a massive change. To get to those numbers, both parents do in fact have to work, and then the cost of childcare and your mortgage and car insurance and health, like it stacks up. Whereas at $30,000 a year in 1985, you can have 2 vacations, all the bills are paid, and you have some spare money at the end of the year. The interest rates were much higher, but at the same time, things cost a lot less money. And the other
there was a balance in the economy. There was always inflation was always kept down, even though interest rates were high. Inflation was always shoved down by controlling petrol prices and so on. As I said, we'll go into another that'd be a whole different video.
Right. Well, and the big one for the United States was in 1971. Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. So now money is functionally just like an IOU controlled by a private bank that the government can't really do a lot with. So
you're talking about the Fed,
right? The Federal Reserve. Yeah. So, but that's huge contributing factor to why money is not worth as much as it was, and there's 10 times as much money in the mix as there was.
There is, and plus I think a lot of people now don't even save anymore like they used to back in the Like I was looking at a contract in the 1980s where if you were working for a company, you had to put so much away into savings. The company literally took money off you and put into savings for you. If you know what I mean?
Right. Well, now they have retirement funds, and the retirement funds are not managed by people that have your best interests at heart.
That's true. We saw during the 2007, 2008 crash.
Yes.
How that worked out for a lot of people?
It did not work out well at all. And a lot of companies did bankruptcies to pull all the retirement money out to put it back into the company, which they could legally do. except that's
wow.
morally and ethically corrupt. Yeah. They went through
Wow.
a ton of bankruptcies to remove the pension funds from their workers. It was not cool at all.
Oh, it's not. All right. I thought it was state controlled or state regulated.
If you work
It's
for
not
the
state
state,
controlled over there?
if you work for the state, yeah. But if you don't, the business or the company can go into a receivership and go into bankruptcy
Yeah.
and
Same
take
thing
all
happens over
available
here.
funds. Right. But the available
Yeah.
funds, those retirement funds were considered available funds for the company.
Yeah.
It's super complex financial stuff, but that is what it looks like on its face. So we've got,
We had a couple of companies try that over here,
Mhm.
and it's highly illegal, by the way, for a company in Ireland to do that. And there was a few big cases where guys got serious time for doing so, messing around like that.
right. Well,
They were
we've got-
literally the government literally took the shirt off their back and paid it out of the government's pocket and made sure they got it back.
Good for them. All right, we've gotten pretty far afield, but there's some basic things we need to understand as to why the makeup looks like it does, and introducing social media into the mix certainly didn't help. So here we go.
Is in the workforce, once she gets pregnant, it is expected that she will leave her job, that the man will step up and he will provide for both of them. The finances were not her responsibility. Homemaking and child raising were. But we don't live in that society anymore. That traditional system broke down. And there are various conspiracies and theories about why that happened, but let's just be generous in this video and say that through the ethos of individualism, this treatment of the genders as a monolith just could not be sustained. Some women want to be stay-at-home mothers, but others are more ambitious. They want to have a career. Some men love work, but others are more gentle and nurturing, and they want to stay home and raise kids. The system was too rigid to allow for complete individual expression, and so it just broke. And
That's correct. That is fundamentally correct.
But he is right. But there's some guys like being house husbands and the wife prefers to go out and work and so on. That said, society changes over time. It's nice to have a mix, as they say.
It is nice to have a mix.
I know there's a big thing on YouTube whenever else about going back to the traditional wife method.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that an awful lot of the women, especially on the far right, were traditional wives.
Right.
Most of them have businesses in their own right before they go down to traditional wife route, if you know what I mean.
Right. They played their own game for a while, and they, got to their late 20s, early 30s, and decided it was time to go ahead and secure that. And I get that.
They already had the financial resources.
100%.
Yeah, they already had that in place.
to replace it, powerful voices in society started to tell us that we should treat gender as though it is a completely made-up construct. It's not relevant. And that's apparently where we're going. The narrative became that men and women are the same. Any differences that you observe are the result of socialization, how we raise boys and girls. It's got nothing to do with biology. And if there's discrepancies in outcomes between the genders, that's the result of discrimination, not.
So the issue here is that our schools are functionally doing most of the raising of the children, and it's a super feminized structure. So we end up with a super feminized result. Like California is a massive, massive example of a super feminized result, right? So the parents aren't the ones.
It's always been like that in schools. Most teachers are women. It's always been like that ever since I was growing up. Anyway, you had a couple of male teachers, but the vast majority are always women. In that,
well, and I understand that, but the entire system becomes super feminized, right? And we're watching James Lindsay. He was talking about the takeover of the American education system, right? And 91, 92 was pretty much locked in, right?
Okay.
So once that happens and everything becomes super feminized like that, it's difficult because you don't get the opportunity for the father to input that which is needed by the male in that relationship to teach the children, right? To show consequences and all those kinds of things, right? You've heard of helicopter parents or lawnmower parents. That's where that comes from. Yeah. Right? My child will have no difficulty or adversity.
Yeah. And it's sad, really, because it causes more damage than good, really, sometimes. And parents are over involved in as a massive knock-on effect. I've seen it over the years as well.
It's not great. No. We always see the memes about the homeschool children that are just socially retarded as could be. They're just way out there. And you're like, did no one ever negotiate with you?
Yeah, we definitely have to beep that word out. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, apparently
But-
it's not canceled anymore.
It's not okay. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, yeah, I've seen in universities kids who are homeschooled. And how can I put it in a nice way? Oh, they got the sociability of a turnip. Probably the
Yeah,
nicest
it's
way.
not great. It's not great.
No.
So their interaction, well, they've never had to negotiate anything. If someone's never had to negotiate anything, they won't know how to
Hmm.
negotiate things. And then now they're an adult and they don't know how to negotiate.
Like, I think that maybe we could come up with a system like they have in Scandinavian countries where it's a blended type system, which has worked out very well for them, obviously. But
Oh yeah, for sure. Well,
I don't think rigid countries, say like the United States or even in Ireland, our educational system is so unwilling to change or
right.
even look at new models.
Right, but that's a teachers union problem, and we can do a whole episode on that. There's a
Oh
big,
yeah, we have teachers unions over here too, and they're they do not want to change at all.
Oh no, because they have control of the school boards and all that money that comes in. They distribute as they see fit. So it's
we
insane.
did that before. Actually, our school boards are all volunteer led.
Ours get paid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them get paid more than our. By the way, some of them get paid more than our Taoiseach. Just saying.
Wow, that's bad.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Natural sex differences. In this genderless utopia, nobody is boxed in with any gendered norms. Everybody is treated as an individual with equal opportunity. And to many people, this sounds like the most fair approach, because that way, if you've got a woman who's applying for a job in a traditionally masculine field, she's not going to be held back because of her gender.
Right, but then the physical standards need to be such that they can handle situations while in the field as a firefighter, law enforcement, military. If you don't meet a certain physical standard, you shouldn't be there, right?
Yeah, that makes sense in a lot of ways.
Right, if you can do the job, you can do the job.
And some women can do the job. We've seen that over the years as well.
Oh, yeah,
some women
sure.
are physically stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think should there be a different test for men and women? It depends on the job. But if it's something like firefighting, law enforcement, I can see an argument where there shouldn't be an equal test. There should be an equal test for everyone.
Right. You should be able to move a 250-pound body wherever it needs to go. You should be able to grab the body, manipulate the body, and get it out of the fire. If you have a physical altercation, you should be able to hold your own and not have to upscale your use of force presentation or options. You just shouldn't. Right?
Yeah, well, as I said,
there's
other ways of serving society, not just law enforcement or firefighters. There's ambulance drivers, there's paramedics, there's thousands of different jobs out there.
First responders. And we've talked about it before. And your key point was men and women communicate differently. And having a woman in certain situations can be much more advantageous than having an aggressive male. And I believe that. But remember, that individual is also going to have to be able to handle themselves in a physical altercation. Right? And know that they can come out on the other end on the top. Right?
Yeah, obviously. But I always said that women have a different way of communicating with hyper-aggressive guys.
Yes.
And I've seen them de-escalate situations a lot quicker than any guy will. That's just the way we're kind of built, really. Men will respond differently to women than to men when it comes to certain arguments.
Correct. They do. And it can be certainly advantageous in some situations, but that individual needs to be able to handle themselves in a physical conflict. That's the important one, especially with law enforcement, because that's going to happen. People who work in prison systems, first responders need to be able to move bodies effectively. It's just a thing that needs to be done.
Oh yeah, there still has to be certain physical standards put in place where everyone's on an equal footing. I do agree with you there.
Right. I want to work with people I feel safe with. Right.
Yeah. Also, there has to be a situation where you do need a certain amount of women in a certain amount in every single field. Because when it comes to, say, law enforcement, you do need a certain amount of women, for example, in order to go to certain situations.
Oh, for sure. I'm following that correctly. I got you. All right, here we go.
She's also freed from expectations that she should do certain tasks just because she is a woman. And so in the household, when it comes to cooking, cleaning, shopping, raising children, the expectation is that the man, the husband, the father, he does 50% of that. You can start to see why women preferred where we're going as opposed to where we came from. For promiscuous women, it's a godsend because now she can sleep with as many guys as she wants and there's no danger of being judged. And you know,
Not true though.
No.
You get judged for that.
Yeah, you do get judged. 99% of most society will judge you if you're doing that behind your husband's back or behind your wife's
100%.
back.
Well, yeah,
society, they mightn't say it openly, but they are judging you. that goes out with a shadow of a doubt.
Well, it's difficult for women to bond with a male if they've been, as Pearl Davis would say, run through, right? Almost impossible, right? So if you take that into account, then they don't want that, and it's an evolutionary thing, right? We don't want that because we can't confirm that the child is ours. There's a certain amount of loyalty that's lacking in that, and we're going to judge it that way, even if someone says, well, you can't judge me for that. Well, you can't tell someone what they're going to judge someone for, especially if they're going to have a relationship with them.
Yeah, especially when he turns around and he says, it's celebrating society. No, it's not. It's celebrating certain very messed up parts of society on the internet. But in the real world, it's not.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
If you're disloyal and you are in quotes run through, you're not a high commodity. You're just not.
No.
That's the reality of the situation. No, I'm not saying it because, well, and it's an accountability problem, right? I want to do whatever I want to do, and you can't judge me. Nobody gets to say that. Right?
No,
That's just not reality. So, all right, here we go.
What? Once we get there, there might also be a bunch of benefits for men. Hey, maybe we don't have to initiate romantic interactions. We don't have to plan the dates. We don't have to pay for them. In fact, financial responsibility could be 50-50 because why should that turn to a man? You know, gender is meaningless. Instead of bottling up their emotions and sacrificing so that they can provide for others, men can have meltdowns just like women do. We can be.
You know what happens when a man has a meltdown in public? Do you know what that looks like?
Yeah, I've seen it many times. I was a barman for many years when I was younger. And because you would have guys late at night who would break down after a few drinks. You know, the wife's after leaving them, or there could be 1,000 different reasons. And you never see a bar empty so quickly.
Right, for sure.
As everyone does either has to be somewhere else or they just move to the end of the bar. Because society doesn't know how to deal with a man who's breaking down.
Right. Did I tell you about the great state of Kentucky?
Oh, no. Go on.
So they changed the default for child custody to 50-50, and it became much less financially satisfying for women to divorce men, and their divorce rate is down over 25% since 2019.
Oh, it'd be interesting to dig into those figures, actually.
Yeah.
Is it just down to the 50-50 access, or is there...
So what happens is
it's very interesting, yeah.
So the default isn't 2 weekends a month for the man or 3 weekends a month, and he's the fun dad, and he has to pay a bunch of money because the decimaster, the thing they use to calculate the monies that are paid to the other petitioner or respondent, regardless, male, female, is based on the amount of time they have the child. It's one of the major factors, right? So if you only have the child 4 to 6 days in the month, then you have to pay me for all of the days I have the child.
You have to pay for the other 24, 25 days of the month,
Right, so it's based on a percentage. So it will say 5 days, right? It's a small percentage, 20-25%-ish, even if that, right? So since they had the lion's share of the time, they would get the lion's share of the money, again, from the
resources.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that it's 50-50, it is much less money. It is a significantly smaller amount of money because they're not getting a year worth of money. They're getting 6 months worth of money at the end of the day, right? So it's no longer feasible. So apparently many more people in the state of Kentucky have decided they're going to work on their marriages and try and make the situation they created for themselves a better place. And I commend that.
There's a lot of resources out there before we go straight to the divorce scenarios. There's family counseling, there's individual therapy, there's thousands of different tools and avenues to go down.
Kinds of great things out there for people to attempt to sustain a relationship.
And sometimes two people should not have got married in the first place. That can happen as well. I've seen that as well.
For sure. And at that point, we put on our big boy and big girl pants and we have a discussion about it. We don't scream and yell. and get crazy with it. So, all right.
Yeah.
Get back to it.
Vulnerable without judgment, completely free from, masculine gender norms. But you see, it's actually when the benefits started to accrue to men that progress towards this genderless utopia, where we're going, that started to halt. You see, men started to indulge in some of the privileges that had previously just been reserved for women, and they didn't like that.
One thing about me, one thing I'm always going to do in a relationship is perpetuate double standards. And I want to make it exponentially clear so nobody misunderstands me. I only perpetuate double standards that benefit me. Sorry.
And that.
My favorite part of that was the sorry on the end, because she wasn't sorry.
Yes.
What she's saying is, I'm going to abuse the system. Everything that is legislated in my direction, I'll accept. Anything I can force in my direction, I will cause to have happen. Right?
Yes, but what that young lady doesn't understand is looks don't last forever. She's pretty now, don't get me wrong, she's a good looking lady, but he does not understand is it with this mindset, going to her late 30s, early 40s, is not going to benefit her.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a win. That's not going to look like a win.
No, it's not.
So.
Like she might have all the shiny toys, whatever, but when she hits her early 30s, early 40s, and she's looking around for a job or so on, or a career, because she'll have to, because the guys that she's aiming for are going to go for the younger model.
Oh, they have to.
All the time.
Right.
Yes.
Especially one that doesn't have that kind of like busted moral compass. That's not. Yeah, that's not great.
And don't get me wrong. There are certain young fellas out there, God love them, that give women money for very little in return.
Right. Well, Pearl Davis was talking about that.
I'm thinking of Quitch at the moment because I was just reading a headline about that.
Right. Pearl Davis was talking about the men just accepting bad deals. They don't have a choice. Right. I can be with a good-looking chick that gives me a bunch of hassle, or a mid that gives me a bunch of hassle. I might as well just take the good-looking one and then switch for a younger model later.
Yes, I see poor unfortunate guys like that, and you kind of sometimes you feel sorry for them, and sometimes you just feel like giving them a slap in the back of the head, as they say.
Hey, fella, fix yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking at them kind of going, if you put this much money and effort into yourself instead of these women, you might have a chance without paying for it.
Facts. All right, let's get back to it.
Right there is the perfect encapsulation of where we are right now. So how do we define this third society, the one that we're actually living in? It's not a traditional world of fixed gender roles, but it's certainly not a genderless, egalitarian utopia either. It's a blend. It's a pick and choose reality. And in this hybrid system, sometimes gender and sex differences are very important. They are very real. And at other times, gender is completely irrelevant. It's not a factor at all, and there's something wrong with you if you bring it up. But then how do you know which standard to apply and when? How do you know whether or not you're a genderless individual or whether or not you're a man and she's a woman? Well, don't fret. It's not actually very confusing because the answer is always consistent. We always apply the standard that benefits the woman in that moment.
That is the truth. And that has to do with a super feminized society. Remember we talked about the 3 modes of females, where there's superior females that apply in a meritocracy and just do great work. There's those that are roughly equivalent and they would like more money and they want to do more hours and they're functioning, fairly well. But then there's the victims, right? And then we always choose whichever one is best for the female at the time of reckoning a decision. It's happening across society, right? And it has to do with offensive language and people being offended and then saying, hey, I'm offended. And then that ends an argument and they get to be right.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate the way that works out because it doesn't benefit either side of the argument.
Right, and again, the goalposts keep moving, right? You're like, okay, I don't know what the right thing to do here is, and I can't know what the right thing to do is, so I have to ask mommy, hey, mommy, which one's right? And women don't want to be your mom; they want to be a partner.
No,
that's
nobody wants to raise a second child, as they say. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like with sitcoms. The dad is always some dipshit that can't figure stuff out until the strong woman says, you need to do it this way. And he's like, oh, I never had any idea. Like parking the car.
I think a lot of sitcoms that we remember were definitely a product of their time in a lot of ways.
For
I
sure.
think I think I've seen decent guys around in my life, and most have equal partnerships, say with their wives or significant others. I think it always works out better if you start off as a partnership instead of me versus them.
I'm not the most religious fella, but I'm absolutely blessed to have the person that I have. Super happy with it. It's not a utopia. It's not always the greatest thing. Sometimes we have misunderstandings. We try and talk them out. You know, we do the best we can. But I don't know that there's a lot of couples out there that are taking the time to do that. Right. And I don't think in pursuit, people are being realistic about what the goal set is. You can't expect men to be psychic and just know things. And then when they act of their own accord and then you punish them, right? That just doesn't work out.
I've seen it with an awful lot of young people as well. And the minute they have a bit of a rocky patch, as they say, like every relationship goes through a rocky patch. No matter how perfect you are, you're always going to go through that bump in the road, as they say.
Right.
And it's their willingness to throw everything out the window for that one tiny bump in the road. It's crazy. They go from 0 to 90.
Your man Homath, now Psychomath, has a chart about that. He's got charts for everything.
I've seen his charts.
Yeah, we'll cover a couple of things from him because he gets really into the weeds on that. But the thing he does,
he does, because
he talks about what?
Yeah, I've seen some of his videos, and he does 15 sentences that could be summed up in one sentence. And I'm fair. Look, that's his trick, as they say.
Well, but there's a lot of repetitiveness in that because people need to get the point, right? So, but the charts are really good, and we'll probably cover a couple of his shorts because he talks about how people think, right, and where they are on levels of thinking, right, and it's really good. So he's got the lower levels and the higher levels, and where society is right now, and why it's breaking down the way it is. Yeah, we'll go over it. I think it'd be really good.
No, we should have definitely do a video on him, actually.
Oh, you know, we should probably just invite him on. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Dogs that don't hunt for $1,000. Here we go.
That is the world that we live in. Think about the workforce. If a woman enters into a traditionally male-dominated career, she's going to make the argument that why shouldn't she do that? You know, gender is not important. She's an individual. Judge her based on her merit. But then hold on. She's just been told that there is a special advanced program, a scholarship of sorts that has been designed to boost women, to help women get further in their careers. And I guarantee that genderless ideology that she was spewing moments ago, that just gets thrown away. It's like, no, now I am very much a woman. When women want to be freed from expectations of motherhood and domestic duties, or if they want to be sexually liberated and sleep around, well, then suddenly gender is not an issue. Don't place those expectations or those stigmas on her because she's a woman. No.
That's an accountability issue.
Yeah.
Right? That's the kids. One of my friends is fairly young, and they call it mode switching, right? You get into the optimized mode to get the thing that you want, right?
Yeah.
So that's what this is. And you can say anything you want after the fact. If you've done the thing, you've done the thing. You can't say, hey, don't look at the thing I've done. Look over here, right? That just lacks accountability. Yeah. And she will take the scholarship almost every time, right? Because now she's a proud woman who's in this field, and now she's going to get a leg up. That program isn't there for the men. She will certainly take it, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it in places of business.
I think that's also, I find most jobs kind of goes for both sexes. If they can get a leg up on the other person, everyone's going to grab it.
Right. Well, and state governments in the United States are really bad about that because for such a long time we had the DEI stuff. I've seen many people miss promotions that there were tests and boards, and there's like 50 people that go for the job and only 3 women apply. All 3 women get the job, but then they can't hire or promote any more than 3 men because it has to be a 50-50 thing.
Has to be a 50-50 split.
Has to be 50-50 split. So there's this. It keeps men down who are qualified to do the job and could do the job very well, right?
And by the way, that causes a lot of resentment and anger in the workplace as well. I've seen that flip side as well.
Well, yeah, and you don't know if they got the job because it's a meritocracy and they got the job because they earned it or because they had to hit a quota. And anytime you have to worry about quotas, the morale in your place of business just goes straight down the tubes.
Oh, I've seen it a lot of, especially in the civil service or the state-run businesses you call over. But I've seen it in my own in civil service over here in Ireland. It's where it's not down to who, it's not down to what you know, it's down to who you know or who you are as well.
Well, form of nepotism, and anybody in a victim group is going to come out ahead.
Oh, guaranteed.
So,
Guaranteed.
all
You see
right.
it so many times in all Western countries at the moment. It's not, by the way, I'm talking about not just women, but as you know, every victim group, as they say.
All of them. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
We live in a genderless society. But if she's on a date with a man and then suddenly the question comes up as to who's going to pay the bill, or if there's manual labor to be done, physically dangerous work, or God forbid, an armed conflict breaks out, well, suddenly we're not in that genderless society anymore. No, suddenly she is a woman and you are a man, and you have a duty and an obligation as a man. If you've ever heard people say that we live in a feminist society, or that our culture is run according to the needs of the feminine imperative, this is what they're talking about. The total lack of a coherent set of rules, where the only consistency is that we bend in whatever direction benefits women. We are not living under any stable ideology. It's not traditional, like where we came from, and it's not egalitarian, like where we were promised that we're going. It's reactive, it's driven by emotion, and that's why men don't trust it. I don't understand why people are so confused about why men are checking out. The male backlash isn't random, and it's not toxic. It is entirely predictable and logical. It is the normal reaction of rational individuals to an irrational system. Men
Right. There ends up being a ton of abuse in the system.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And he's right. A lot of young men, especially, I'll say under the 35 group, are just completely checking out of the race.
It's a fact. There have been studies that show that many men under the age of 25 have never had a sexual experience with a woman, right? And
Yeah.
and many of them haven't even tried, not even once. In the last 2 years, they haven't tried. They haven't had any kind of encounter like that. You know, it's a hypergamy thing, because the social media is women pick the top 20% of men and don't pick the other ones because they literally just don't exist for them, because it's not an organic development of a relationship. You don't get to know
No,
the
it's not.
fella and you're like, okay, well, he's a decent looking fella, got a good job. Let's give it a shot. Maybe we'll go on a date, whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
get to know each other.
Right.
You're
But
right.
that just
These
doesn't
organic,
happen.
there's no organic experiences anymore. And that's why a lot of young men are just getting angry. Because I don't want to be disingenuous when I said it's down to frustration, but it is. They're just frustrated, not at the world and the system they're in at the moment.
Yeah, it's just there's no good outcomes for it. You can do all the
No.
things and do them all right and still get punished in the end. Right? Take
Yeah,
the
and
whole
it's-
track.
and it's-
Get a good job.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Get a house, have a family, and then social contract is it's understood that she will just take half your things and the children and destroy you, and can do it at any time for any reason.
Yeah.
There's no fault divorce. They can just say, I'm done. And then now you only get the kid 4 days a week. So now I get the house, I get all the things, and you have nothing and have to go make your way again. Right? That it just
Yeah,
seems
and-
patently unfair.
Yeah, and so many men have that at the back of their minds.
Hmm.
And it's a shame. It's kind of a blocker for them to find a decent partner. There's so many, as I say, it's down to social media. There's 1,000 different reasons why young men are just not developing like young men used to years ago.
Right. The masculinity is toxic all the time when it's just men being men.
Yes.
Here we go.
Plus, what doesn't help either is the fact that young men or young women as well can't seem to afford or be able to fly the nest either.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Which is a whole different scenario in the modern world as well.
Yeah, you need two incomes and you can't even get men and women together. And our birth rates are 1.6 or lower, not even replacing our population. It means our countries are dying because in 100 years, there's only going to be 20 people for the 100 they have now. Right?
Yes, but we also have to look at the fact that young people have been, especially younger generation, younger than us, between tax, rent hikes, student loans, all the pressure that they put on these people.
Yep.
Yeah, they just don't have the physical time or resources to have any more than one kid, if they're lucky.
Pretty much. All right,
And you
here we
can't,
go.
as I said, it's very unfair when I see people on social media where they're giving out about birth rates. They're not talking about the overall social issues either behind why there's lower birth rates.
Right. Here we go.
Men are wired to seek order, justice, consistency. The male brain looks for patterns because we want to understand the rules by which we're playing. So we're constantly scanning, like, what are the guidelines? What are the expectations? What are the punishments if I get something wrong? What's the reward if I do it right? But in this system where we live at the moment, there's no predictable pattern where a man is going to win. There's just contradictions and it's confusing. Approach that woman, offer your help and spin the wheel and you'll find out, are you a gentleman or are you a creep? Why would a man want to take that risk? Why would he want to play this game? The thing is that men can thrive in almost any system so long as it is clear.
Right. We were talking to Doc Guinness about vasopressin, the male hormone that functionally allows us to regulate water and blood flow and hierarchies and all those kinds of things. So we are looking chemically in our being for an ordered sense of how the world needs to be for us to function in it. And when you constantly switch up the rules and switch up outcomes for the same action, right, you start to feel crazy because I did this last month, but I did this thing, it's the same thing. And last month it was praised and this month it's punished. You just can't know.
Yeah. Because men are very logically based. That's who we are. That's how we are wired. A, B, C. That's it. And he's right. All this shifting of the goalposts and guys spinning the wheel, it's destroying a lot of segments of society at the moment.
For sure. All right, here we go.
Doesn't need to be perfect. Men aren't allergic to hard work or sacrifice, but if they're going to be motivated to build and create and provide, they do need something solid, like a real foundation, something that they can trust, a system with rules, structure, and predictable outcomes. Now, in the traditional system where we came from, that was clear. You were a man and you knew what was expected of you. You have to be strong, you have to protect, you have to provide. You do all of that, and your reward is a wife who appreciates what you've done.
Right. So a certain amount of stoicism in your function and society respecting your hard work and all the things you have done, and a wife who was there to help you with the family. And the number one indicator that a woman was doing well was she had a good husband to help her with her children. Like, that was the societal marker. Does she have a good man to help her do the thing? And when that's the societal marker and you can see it, that's amazing, right?
Yeah. And also the fact that they could be a good partnership as well. You know, they both come home from work, they can both split the jobs equally, there's none of this fighting. You know, it's a decent, normal, healthy relationship.
Right. But
it's
almost impossible at this point. So here we go.
Home that's taken care of, children raised with good values. Your masculinity is honored. Yes, you work very hard, but your reward is gratitude and reciprocity because the woman is doing her duties. The two of you are a team. Now, I think that men could also equally adapt to this genderless utopia. So long as the rules were actually consistent, we could make it work. Okay, I'm no longer a man, I'm an individual. Okay, great. So 50% of the financial burden is now off me. That's awesome. Now I have to cook. That's all right. Cooking's fun. It's creative. I get to spend more time with my kids. This is all good. I love my kids. This is not a bad thing. Sure, you want to take us to this genderless utopia? I'll make that work.
Yeah, but go all the way. Take it all the way.
Yeah.
If you want it, go get it. Register for selective service. Be able to get drafted. All the things. You want the full equality? Come get the full equality. But don't take exception when somebody's like, you wanted this, you get it. Right?
Yeah.
So
you wanted this outcome, now you got this outcome.
Right, but they're hedging their bets, it seems. Right. And a lot of it has to do with, you can legislate the things that were functionally male or understood to be the male process of providing and ensuring that there was protection and all that stuff. And now it's not like that. Like, so the expectation is there, but men get abused for it. You can't legislate the things that in general women gave to relationships in a more traditional sense.
Oh God, yeah.
Here we go.
Doesn't matter if he is a man or if he is a genderless individual. If the system is consistent and predictable, men will be able to work with it. But this system, the one that we live in right now, men feel like they cannot win because it demands the sacrifices of manhood from the traditional model. You know, be strong, pay for everything, sacrifice yourself, protect her no matter what. But in terms of reciprocity, there is no equivalent duty that is expected of your wife because
there isn't anything on the other end of that there's no expectation on them, but the male still has expectations on him, and that makes for a lot of resentment in society. So let's see what he's got to say about that right quick.
she's not a woman, she's a genderless individual. She can sing all day about your duty as a man, but if you suggest that she has a duty as a woman, then you are in serious trouble. Men can aim accurately. The problem is that we're trying to shoot a moving target.
So the rest of this video is him closing this out, but he's absolutely correct.
He makes a lot of very, very good points there, especially with modern society.
Right. So you must be accountable for your actions. You must be. If you're not accountable, then your word is not your bond. And I don't know if when you were young, your dad said that to you, but my dad would say, look, son, your word is your bond. You say you do a thing, you do a thing. Right. And we've gone into long diatribes about it. Right. But when you're told that you have responsibilities and duties because you're a man, and then there are no subsequent duties and responsibilities for women, it's unacceptable, right? Because it's an unlevel playing field, and whatever is most advantageous at the time, like he was saying before, is the outcomes that you're going to get. And it's not going to be good outcomes. It's just not.
No, it's not. Because when the government, as I said, when the state or the government steps in, try to use laws to fix these problems, they usually make a dog's dinner out of it as well.
Yeah, they don't really do great things with it at all. It's not a responsibility that I think the state should be taking on. But at this point, I'm not sure what a better solution would be to be.
Yeah, there is no good solution to be, unfortunately. Not at this stage.
Well, because there's no shame in society, which would force a certain kind of accountability. So
I think there's still shame in society. I think young people forget that there is shame in society outside the internet.
Right.
Like,
for sure.
The young lady we saw earlier there, where she's going to play the game and screw everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Her own little internet bubble will cheer her on. But what she doesn't understand is the millions of other people who are watching that video are judging her.
Oh,
they will avoid her like the plague.
100%.
She doesn't understand that reality yet.
Right. As attractive as she is, she was smoking hot. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got anything else for us there, Patrick, before we get on out of here?
Oh, no, that's it. It was actually a really, really good video. I should say a lot of food for thought there, actually, as always. From this young
Mr. Grace. Yeah, Mr. Grace does great work. So for Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. Like, ring the bell, subscribe, comment, help us beat the algorithm, and we are out.